Let me read to you a passage from the 21st chapter of St. Luke's Gospel, verses 5 to 19. It's the Gospel for the 33rd Sunday of Ordinary Time, Year C. St. Luke writes, "Some were saying of the temple that it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts. And he said, These things which you see, the days will come in which there shall not be left a stone upon a stone that shall not be thrown down. And they asked him, Master, when shall these things be? And what will be the sign when they will begin to happen? He said, Take heed, you be not seduced. For many will come in my name, saying, I am he, and the time is at hand. Do not go after them. And when you hear of wars and seditions, be not terrified. These things must first come to pass, but the end is not yet now. Then he said to them, Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be great earthquakes in various places, and pestilences and famines, and terrors from heaven. And there will be great signs. But before all these things, they will lay their hands upon you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, dragging you before kings and governors for my name's sake. And this will happen to you for the purposes of testimony. Lay it up therefore into your hearts, not to meditate before how to answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom which all your adversaries will not be able to resist and gainsay. And you will be betrayed by your parents and brethren and kinsmen and friends, and some of you they will put to death. And you will be hated by all men for my name's sake, but not a hair of your head will perish. In your endurance you will possess your souls." That's from Luke chapter 21, verse 5 to 19. We are led to think of the final coming. I remember attending a talk given many years ago by the chief editor of a leading Sydney newspaper, and he made the remark that the commodity that newspapers sell is the news. News is interesting, it excites and fills people's minds, and so is worthy of purchase. As we think of the news of nations warring or in difficulties, and most of the news is about difficulties and causes of anxiety, we are led to think of the course of history. Nations rise and have their span of influence, then they gradually or suddenly decline. There are achievements and failures, joys and sorrows, wars and times of relative peace. A person who takes an interest in the course of history may well ask himself, what is the meaning of it? What is basically happening in history, and is there a pattern? Is the course of history pointing to anything that can be prepared for? What is happening in our world now, and where is it heading? These are some of the questions that can occur to a person who is observing the affairs of men. Obviously, it is very difficult to answer these questions just from ordinary rational reflection. The best way to view the course of history is to determine first the fundamental vantage point to be adopted. If you want to gain a good view of things, you select a very good vantage point. You go up a particular hill or mountain and take your stand there, and from that perspective you look at the terrain. So too in human affairs. Now, our best vantage point is that of God and his revelation, which is to say, the teaching and perspective of Christ. How did Christ view human history? Our gospel passage that I've just read from Luke chapter 21, verse 5 to 19, suggests to us something of his divine vantage point. Many of the great and beautiful things made by human hands, worthy as they are, will not last. The temple may be taken as an instance of this. While some people were speaking about how the temple was adorned with costly stones and votive offerings, Jesus said, all that you see here, the days will come when there will not be left a stone upon a stone that will not be thrown down. What then is the enduring thing in human history? It is Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is the one on whom each of us can base our lives with utter security, and he is the hope of the world, not this or that power, country, or theory. It is he to whom we ought bear witness, and to whom we ought dedicate our energies with full love and loyalty. Then they asked him, "Teacher, when will this happen? And what sign will there be when all these things are about to happen?" He answered, "See that you not be deceived. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and the time has come. Do not follow them." Jesus is worth living for, suffering for, and dying for. It is to him that we ought bear witness, and the effects of that witness will be truly enduring. If we want to spend our lives in ways that have enduring value, then it is for Christ that we ought spend them. No matter what may be the cost, it will be worth it. In respect to this, our Lord goes on to say, "I myself shall give you a wisdom in speaking, that all your adversaries will be powerless to resist or refute. You will be even handed over by parents, brothers, relatives, and friends, and they will put some of you to death. You will be hated by all because of my name, but not a hair of your head will be destroyed. By your perseverance you will secure your lives." Luke chapter 21. The centerpiece of human history is the person of Jesus Christ, and the purpose of human history is that he be accepted as the Lord. This is the meaning of human history, and the more the nations ignore or refuse the lordship of Jesus Christ, then the more does history sink into futility and meaninglessness. The more Jesus Christ is acclaimed as Lord, the more does human history and the concourse of mankind attain its true end. It is to this that Christ's faithful must every day bear witness by word and deed, by holy lives lived out in loving acknowledgement that Christ is Lord, and that his teaching is the guide of all human life. There is one great future event that is coming. That is one thing we do know amid all the uncertainties of human history. It is that Christ will come again. He will come again to us individually at our death, and he will come again at the very end of human history to judge the living and the dead. We, each of us and all of us together, are called so to live as to be ready for his coming. Let us make sure that every day counts in this waiting. We must make sure that when the Master comes, he finds us waiting and fully ready.